everyone, my name's Sarah and this is my channel So Sarah Sewed. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video in which I'm going to share everything I made in the month of February. Now there's actually not that many things I made in February. It's been quite a busy month for me work-wise and family-wise, but I did make a few things, so I'm looking forward to sharing them with you today. If you watched my February plans video, I definitely didn't get through all of the things I was hoping to, but I did make a couple of things plus some other things that I wasn't actually planning to at the start of the month. Before I tell you what I did make this month though, I'll let you know what I'm wearing today. So I have been at work today and this is what I wore to work. This is the Peppermint Paddington top, so a free pattern from Peppermint magazine, and this was designed by French Navy. This pattern is described as a dartless woven blouse with a round-faced neckline, a gently curved hem, and a back button closure. And it also has voluminous raglan sleeves and it's a slightly cropped length. I made mine in a lightweight linen cotton that I bought from Nerida Hansen, and this is in a design by Gabriella Larios. I absolutely love her, her designs and how playful they are. I'll stand up and show you. So it's a bit creased after a day of wear, but you can see the length here and you can see the very slight curved hem, sort of more obvious at the back. While I've put buttons on the closure, I just put mine over my head, and I actually did not make functional buttons for this top because I knew it had quite a wide neckline and I wouldn't need to worry about actually ever using the buttons. So there you can see how wide the neckline is. It's quite wide. And then these voluminous sleeves that are brought together with quite a thick elasticized cuff. This pattern is available in sizes A to K, which covers bust measurements from 32 inches up to 50 inches. Depending on the sort of statement that you want to make with your sleeves, you could make the elastic at the bottom of the cuff here tighter and then be able to bring up the sleeve and have it more puffy, but I decided to go with a kind of a more understated effect with this one. This pattern, I remember having some difficulty, and you can kind of see here the facing, I wasn't able to get it very flat, so there's sort of a little bit of bubbling happening along my facing. So if I was to make this pattern again, I might even consider using a bias facing perhaps on the neckline. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a little bit annoying, but hopefully not too noticeable to most people. And I've read some reviews that some people have had some issues with being able to get the hemline flat because of the curve in that too. So there's some things to look out for if you decide to make this pattern. So I've worn this top today with my first make of February, and they are the Pietra pants by Closet Core Patterns. And these have had so much wear already. It's Friday today and it's the third time I've worn them this week. So I'll show you. So I actually had my top tucked in today. So you can see they're very high-waisted pants, and I've made them in a cotton linen blend from Spotlight. I'll definitely put in some more photos so you can see them properly, but I'll talk about the pattern a little bit first. So this is a pattern, as I mentioned, by Closet Core Patterns, and it is the third time I've made this pattern, but the first time I've made the tapered leg version. So I've made a couple of pairs of the wide leg version, which I absolutely love. They're so comfortable. They have this flat front and then elasticized waistband at the back, which makes them very comfortable to wear and really easy to make. Actually, this is one of the easier Closet Core patterns. I believe this pattern was released as part of a collection that was aimed at more beginner level sewists. I got mine as part of the Learn to Sew course that they have on their website. That comes with the Pietra pants, the Fiore skirt and the Cielo top, and then a whole lot of videos instructing you how to make them all. And yeah, as a beginner, these were my very first pants I ever made when I made the wide-legged ones about 18 months ago, and the instructions were fantastic. I made a pair of these in January, but the wide leg version, and I made a size 14, and I found that I needed to take out quite a bit of the waistband elastic to get them to be a firm fit, which I like, and around my waist. I like to wear them quite high, and I found that if I didn't take out some of the elastic. They're just a little bit too loose. So I did that, and I also found there was quite a bit of excess material around the back. So I thought, well, this time I think I can probably get away with making a size 12. So I actually did make, I tried to make a pair of the tapered version in a size 12, but I couldn't get them up. There just wasn't enough fabric around the hips. So I think in future, I'll go with size 12 for view A, the wide leg version, and size 14, which I've done this time with the tapered leg version. This pattern is available in 2 size bands, the first being sizes 0 to 20, and also the curve range, which is size 14 to 32. And those size bands cover hip measurements of 33 inches up to 63 inches. As I mentioned, I've already worn these pants 3 times this week. They're extremely comfortable. Because they're quite high-waisted, I do like to wear my tops tucked in, or I think they also go really well with a cropped top. So I have worn them this week with an Ashton cropped singlet, also this yellow top by Closet Core, and then today with this Peppermint Paddington top. And yeah, I think the color I chose, this blue, is quite versatile as well. One of my goals this year was to make some plain colored garments that would go with either my printed tops or my printed skirts and pants. And these plain blue pants have already proven to be a hit in my wardrobe, and I'm really, really pleased with them. The next item I made, I think, is one of my favorite things I've ever made, to be honest. I absolutely love it. It is the Lotta Dress by Tilly and the Buttons, and what makes it probably my favorite is the fabric I used, which was a cotton knit from Dupes Designs. Here's a scrap of the fabric. So it's a very dark navy blue background with these abstract and colourful shapes all over it. And I think that this fabric paired with just a really simple t-shirt dress is just a perfect combination, and is exactly the sort of thing I like to wear on the weekends. I had some comments in my plans video asking about the stretch of this fabric. It's 100% cotton, so there's no elastane in it, but it does have a little bit of stretch. When I stretch it this way, you can see it has a little bit of stretch, but it does go white pretty quickly. Same with the other way. So I wouldn't use it for a pattern that needed to be extremely stretchy. It really did work really well for this dress. I think it would work really well for t-shirts and that sort of thing. It also is a lot heavier than the cotton knits I've bought from Dupes Designs in the past. So I'm not sure if it's a different, if they're using a different provider or what they're doing. But if I compare it to this one that I made last year, this is the top. It's hard to look at it on the screen, hard to see on the screen, but this one was extremely light. And this one's much thicker. I've noticed on their website there are 2 different cottons listed. So one of them is called 100% cotton jersey, which is what this is, the cotton jersey. And they've also got one called cotton knit. So I'm wondering whether if you got the cotton knit, you might end up with something thinner. This particular fabric, the cotton jersey, is listed as 135 grams per square meter, whereas the other one listed, the cotton knit listed, says 115. I'm not sure if that's the difference, and if you bought the cotton knit, if you would get something a lot less substantial, but it's something to look out for. But I can highly recommend the cotton jersey. The Lotta Dress is a pattern by Tilly and the Buttons, and it is available in sizes UK 6 to 24, which spans a bust measurement of 30 inches up to 51 inches. This is a pattern that can be made in either woven or knit fabrics. And I was looking at what size to make. Sometimes in Tilly and the Button sizes I have made size 5, and sometimes I've made a size 6. But because this pattern was designed for both woven and jersey fabrics, I knew that there'd be quite a bit of ease factored into the pattern, which I wouldn't particularly need making it in a knit fabric. So I made a size 5 this time, which I believe is the UK size 14. And as I said, I couldn't be happier with the way this turned out. This pattern is a relaxed t-shirt dress. It has 2 different sleeve lengths. So the version I made is just the grown-on sleeves, but you can also add bracelet bracelet length sleeves, and then there are 2 lengths, so above the knee or a midi length. I went with the midi length, but I raised the hemline by 1 inch because I am 160 centimeters tall and I did not want it to be too long. The length I settled on worked out perfectly for me. I don't like things that are above the knee, and I feel like the whole dress has a really nice balance about it. So here is my actual dress. I've put a little Kylie in the Machine label in there. That was the very first one we got in our advent calendars last year. You might be able to see I don't have an overlocker, so everything I do in jersey I always just do on my sewing machine and it works fine. I did a couple of things that weren't in the pattern that I've just learnt from sewing other knit tops and things. So for example, I put a row of stay tape in the shoulder seams, and then I also top stitched the seams down just to give it a little bit more stability. I think that's the only thing though that I did that wasn't in the pattern. I decided against adding the patch pockets. I thought with this kind of stretchy material, and then the fact that the skirt and the bodice are attached with an elastic waistband, I thought that anything extra might just pull down on that waistband. And that is the one thing I might end up revisiting with this particular dress. I just found in my stash just some elastic that was the right width, and I used it, but it's a little bit too stretchy. And I think I need to use an elastic that's got a little less give in it, just to sort of maintain the waistband a little bit more and not just get pulled down with just the slightest bit of touch really. But that is just a very, very small thing, and it'll be very easy to change. It will be easy to change. You can see I've turned it inside out. The elastic runs through that band there. So all I'll have to do is unpick some of those stitches, pull out the elastic that's there, and then threads through some new elastic, some slightly less stretchy elastic I think would be a little bit more comfortable. I think that's all I have to say about this dress. I think I'll definitely make it again. Oh, the other thing that I really like about this particular dress is the neckline. I've made a couple of other Tilly and the Buttons patterns before, and I've found the neckline to be quite high on those. So the Billy sweatshirt, I love the Billy sweatshirt, but the neckline is a little bit high. And also, maybe that's all. Anyway, I was a little bit worried about how high the neckline was going to be, but this one is just perfect. I didn't want anything too low. I like to be able to wear this at school, and having a nice high neckline suits me perfectly, but it's not so high that it feels uncomfortable. So another pattern that I would definitely recommend, and I'm definitely going to make again, is the Lotta Dress by Tilly and the Buttons. And the last thing I made this month was not for me, but it was for my nieces. I have 2 very young nieces. One just turned 18 months and the other just turned 6 months old. The 18-month-old lives in Melbourne, and so she has been experiencing the same warm summer weather that we have. And my 6-month-old niece lives in Hong Kong, and she will be coming up to summer weather pretty soon. So I made them both a pair of high-waisted belly bummies, which is a pattern by an Etsy seller called Patterns by LL. I came across this pattern while scrolling through Instagram. Someone I follow called the Avid Sewist, Manda, had made some, and I thought they looked so cute. And because they're made for such small little bodies, they don't take up a lot of fabric, and I was able to just use fabrics from my stash for these. So for my 18-month-old niece, I made them in some leftover material from Spotlight that I had used to make an Agnes top last year, a Tilly and the Buttons Agnes top. And I made her these little shorts. The pattern has 2 different waistbands. One is just a regular plain waistband, and the other is a high one that you then fold over. So I made the fold over one for my 18-month-old niece, and I've already sent them over to her, and she has been requesting to wear them and loving wearing them. So I'm really, really happy to see how they look and to know that they are so loved already. And the other ones I haven't sent yet, and I'm making those for my niece who's in Hong Kong. Her mum does not watch these videos, so it's safe for me to share them with you. I just think they're the cutest thing. These I made in some scraps from a fabric that I bought from My Design. This is a cotton jersey from My Design, and it has quite a bit of stretch in it. I think it's 90% cotton and 10% elastane. And I used this same material to make myself an ebony tea dress by Closet Core Patterns last year. So as you can see, it's got quite a high waistline, but and then they're just really short shorts. There are only 4 pattern pieces, so the front, the back, the waistband, and then the leg cuffs, and they're really easy to make. Again, I just use my sewing machine and zigzag stitch. I think the biggest challenge for me making these, and this is a challenge for me with other jersey patterns too, is when a pattern calls for 1/4 inch seam allowances. I really struggle with that. There's always generally somewhere that I just somehow veer off and miss the seam and end up having to unpick. And when I'm using a lightning stitch in particular, which I did for these, really, really tiny stitches, they take ages to unpick. So I did have to do that at one point with these, but I got them back on track. So I'll try and put those in the mail this weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing my niece wearing those over in Hong Kong. The other thing I have been working on actually this month has been some hand sewing. I have been trying to work on finishing a quilt that I'm hand piecing. I started it about 18 months ago, and it got sort of forgotten when I got my sewing machine and sewing clothes took over. But when I was reviewing my 2021 makes and goals, this quilt came into my mind again, and I've been inspired to get sewing again. So at the beginning of this month, I had 2 completed blocks, and now at the end of the month, I have 5. So I'm really, really happy with the progress there. Those 3 that I made this month, they were definitely not from scratch. They had all been in some sort of form of completion. Probably the first one I made only had 1 seam to sew, and the other ones I've just been sitting in front of the TV, and if I'm sitting in front of the TV, I'll have my my hand sewing with me. So that's how I'm making progress on that one. The quilt pattern I'm using for this is the Journey Home quilt by Blooming Poppies. I actually started this as a quilt along when I started it about 18 months ago, and understandably I was not able to keep up with the pace. So the quilt along was designed for people who are using sewing machines, and me sewing every stitch by hand, it just takes a lot longer. So once I sort of lost pace with the rest of the quilt along, I sort of didn't have that motivation to keep going, but I am happy to report that I have that motivation now. Unfortunately though, I seem to have lost 1 set of blocks for this quilt. So I'm hoping if I'll either find it or I'll have enough scraps to be able to cut out pieces and complete this quilt. So the fact that I have made 3 blocks in February, perhaps I'll make 2 in March. We'll have to wait and see. So that is everything I made in the month of February. Thank you so much for spending some time with me this afternoon and hearing about it. I always love having a chat in the comments if you'd like to leave one below. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and I will look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.